He's going to help us help you make some money, hopefully. My guy, Ian Parker. Thank you, man.
No pressure, right? No pressure. Yeah, this is a betting lesson for all you guys out there. You will, if you watch my show, you watch me, I will very rarely go above a minus 200 money line. All right, at that point, if I like that guy, I'm going to take him in over a certain amount of rounds or method, because even if I lose that, I'd rather lose and not have to pay so much than lose on a chalk, especially in the Contender Series. It's like it's like Bellator and PFL sometimes with these wonky lines. It's tough.
Sure. The only thing that scares me, Ian, is I saw the photo yesterday, and I'll say this out loud.
Did you see his arm?
Yeah, I'm going to be quiet, but you know what I'm talking about. That scares me a little bit.
Well, you know what he say in the media thing this morning? What was it? He goes, I don't have staff, I give staff. And I'm like, my God, is that so on brand for Sean Strickland?
All right, welcome to another episode of Under the Canvas. I'm Ken with my co-host Nick. We have a big guest today from ESPN MMA analyst and co-host of ESPN BETS. He's going to help us help you make some money, hopefully. My guy, Ian Parker. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Ian, let's go.
No pressure, right? No pressure.
Ian, how's it going over there, bro? Did you get as much snow as we did? Because we got some snow, bro. We got some snow.
In my part of South Florida, no.
You said you were East Coast. I thought you were higher.
South Florida is East Coast. I'm the low East Coast, though. No, you know what, though? We still got like 38, 42 degree temperature. So here, it was kind of cold. It was cold for that. I'm from New York, so I can handle it a little bit. But I've been in Florida a long time, so my blood's definitely gotten thinner. But yeah, man, definitely interesting. Dude, parts of Florida got snow. Shit was crazy.
Dude, we got hit with a snowstorm this morning, bro. It's insane out there right now.
We were scrambling this morning.
Yeah, I don't even know what that looks like anymore, to be honest. So.
Rub it in.
Yeah. You have to take a picture.
Real quick, guys, before we get started.
Oh my gosh, get it out.
I have to get it out. Please. We got to get these Chiefs out of here, man.
Do the world a favor.
Good luck.
Please. All right. So, I mean, before we get started on any of the bets, I just want, maybe you can tell us a little bit about you, how you got to ESPN, how you got to your position,
sure,
and basically how you made it up the ranks on just basically your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been an MMA fan, right? And it really... How do we all started watching it right when there was no rules, and it was just absolutely insane. Almost how we feel about like power slap and bare knuckle right now, right? It's like we've gone back in time to realize that we really do enjoy violence, which is kind of crazy. Then I was in my fraternity house in SUNY Albany, and we were watching the Ultimate Fighter finale with Bonner and Griffin, and I was like, all right, we're back. Now we're talking here. One of my fraternity brothers, this dude was out of his mind, used to randomly walk up to my apartment at 3 a.m. and be like, yo, I'm watching Pride. You got to check this out. Like DVDs. So like this thing's been in my brain for a while. And then once I got out of college, a buddy of mine who trained at Matt Serra's gym, and I went to high school with Matt Serra's entire family. They knew I was a wrestler. I went in there, started training. I was trying to become a fighter myself. I was training with Ray Longo, Matt Serra, Pete Sell, Luke Kumo before he completely lost his mind. Guys like Konstantinos Philippou, all this stuff, super cool. And while I was training, the training part was cool, getting in great shape. Had a couple fights, whatever it was. But just at that time, there really was zero money and all the other stuff. And a buddy of mine happened to walk in the gym I knew from the wrestling community by the name of Chris Weidman. And at that time, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just try and manage someone like him, not get punched in the face, let him do the fighting, and we could really work this. So I was always trying to get into this world. I was doing, Luke Thomas's show and Ariel's show before podcasts were even a thing. I was calling in every week, talking to them, and then I ended up managing Chris Weidman and John Vellante. I got Vellante into Strikeforce, Weidman into the UFC, Konstantinos Philippou. So I really started off on the management side more than anything, and just continuing to just put my head down and work and get on all these shows. And obviously betting is a lot of fun. My dad's been having me do NFL parlays since I was like 6 years old. So while my mom was hating me gambling and playing poker, all this stuff, I guess my dad knew at some point, maybe career-wise, it could be something. And not even no bullshit. The one time where it really kind of catapulted was on Twitter. John Anik reached out to me because he realized we lived 15 minutes from each other. He's like, "Hey, I've been seeing your tweets and stuff. How would you feel about coming on our show and doing some capping?" And when I did it, went up against Kenny. Kenny was like, "Oh man, this guy really knows his stuff. Where did he come from?" And then once Kenny realized, oh, he's been around the sport for quite some time, just kind of, behind the scenes, that was where it all took off. And then a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Coachman from ESPN WWE,
Oh, yeah.
he reached out to me about doing some stuff with him. He literally said, if you follow me and listen to me, I'll have you on TV 3 to 6 months. PFL deal came around, and then 3 months later, ESPN came calling, and now here we are. So,
Wow.
yes, I would say anyone that really wants to be, do this, now's the time, man. With social media giving, platforms for free just to put it out there, I still think there's so much room for people to have shows with MMA and all this other stuff. It's just, it really can happen. I don't want to say that easily, but it can happen if you just keep working at it. So
I love that, dude.
Yeah, and as long as you're not a dick on Twitter, also that helps too.
You heard that, Nick?
That's the burner.
We got the biggest shit talker, Nick, over here.
Oh no! Listen, you can doing that is okay. It's when let me reverse, right? If you think so, it's kind of funny. Stomping on people to think you're going to get above them, people that are in the position they're in. It's better to have allies than it is to have enemies. If you want to talk about it this way, because the allies will help you. They'll go on your shows, they'll promote it. The enemies will be like, "Yo, don't talk to these guys," and then you're screwed, right?
Correct.
And in this sport, that happens more, I think, than anything else, right? It's because we're so reachable because MMA is just such a really close-knit community. Like, dude, LeBron James will never answer my tweet. I work for ESPN. John Jones will tell me to go screw myself if I don't pick him in a bet. And I'll be like, I didn't even tag him. So
that's awesome. So before we get into kind of the UFC 312 here, I just want to get your quick recap on the Saudi card. I know you made some picks. We looked at them. We didn't do so great last week.
No, we did not.
What do you think? What do you think happened there? Like, what do you think happened there? Do you think is he just over the hill? What do you think is his next steps, basically?
Yeah, Izzy and I went down on that ship together last week. Which is great. I'll tell you one thing though, and it's funny because with betting, I'll tell you this: doing it for yourself is one thing, but when you're putting out the plays, I feel more pressure giving out the plays to everyone else and hitting it rather than my own money, which is crazy, right? If you like when we're there on site in the suite, I'm like talking to myself, I'm yelling at the screen, and I got Chael Sonnen next to me, who's as nuttier than I am with it, and he like, dude, we were watching the Umar Marat fight. We were there. He looks at me, he goes 4-0 Umar. I'm like, no. I was, and he's like, all right. He's like maybe So it's with all that stuff going on in my head. I'm like, oh my god, we need to get this last leg of the parlay. But you know what? I think with Izzy, what that really showed last week was maybe it's just time before it gets too crazy, right? A lot of these guys, they want to keep going. You don't want to see losses happen. And I thought he looked fine in round one. I didn't think round one was that bad. I thought he won round one. The eye poke thing, people are kind of joking, saying he's trying to be Poatan and do the whole whatever it is.
He should have taken the time. He should have taken the time, dude.
Look, I don't want to take anything away from Imavov, who's been very good.
Yeah,
he's made us.
He's very good.
Up until that fight, I've picked him in almost every fight he's been in a while. So the guy's talented. But I didn't listen. Whether the eye poke threw him off and he switched stances and got caught, it's just for me. I look at it like this: what does Izzy have left to prove other than he wants to make? Because he still gets paid a lot of money for these fights, right? But you look at someone like my guy Weidman. It's kind of a tough fall from grace because the crazy part is Weidman's one of the best middleweight champs to ever do it, right? But if you look at his last 4 or 5 fights, you're sitting there going like, that dude was champ. right?
Yeah.
And that's because this
The
sport
highs
is,
are high, the lows are low.
bro, the lows are worse than low. It's
Yeah.
like it's a bottomless pit if you let yourself fall in it. So for Izzy, unless he needs the money, right? Whole different ball game. But you know, and he handles it with such class, better than I do when I lose on it. I'm sitting there, dude. And the craziest thing, you guys will love this. So Izzy's up 1-0. Brett Okamoto sends me a text. He goes, I think I'm about to hammer Imavov live. Izzy looks old, and I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? And the minute I respond back to him, the knockout happens, and I go, I hate you.
Oh,
Like, why would you even put that bad
spoke
vibe
that
out
into
there? He
existence.
really did. He does that a lot to me. It's so funny. He's
I would block him.
yeah, no, that's my guy. So it was just funny when that happened. But no, yeah, last week's bets, man, it sucked because one of the plays I really loved, I wanted to go harder on, was MVP. I really thought that line.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
And what's funny is I did ESPN Bet Live last week with Joe Fortenbow and Tyler and Aaron Dolan and that team. And, I gave out Izzy, but I said to them, I go, I do like Izzy here, but I really think the biggest value play in the entire card is MVP. These odds are very bizarre. But I'm also sitting there going, because MVP can actually wrestle a little bit. We saw it against Ian Gary, and then he goes out there and he kickboxes Shara Bullet. So it's like, what the hell do I know in that situation? But, yeah, look, betting's got its highs and lows, right? You guys know as well as I do with that. It's a marathon, not a sprint. There are weeks where we'll go and we'll just be out of our minds hitting everything. And then there's other nights where it's like you miss every split decision. Bro, last year in Canada, what was that, the Toronto card with Strickland on it? I think I had every Canadian, and somehow we lost every bet by split decision. I'm sitting there going like, where's home field advantage right now? It's like, what are we doing? So, yeah, last week was definitely not my best. Got very unlucky there. We hit our parlay with MVP. I think we missed everything else. But look, that's how it goes. And I here's my thing, though. I hold myself accountable. I hate that. It's so funny. Before the show, Brett will be like, dude, stop being so mad at yourself. I'm like, oh, no, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I'm back this week with a vengeance, So we're going to go big or go home this week with the bets.
Yeah, that's what I said last week for me. I know you don't remember this, but I was telling Ken, I was at International Fight Week this past year, and I ran into you and Rudy, and you guys are walking by me, and I came up to you and I said, Ian, I said, bro, I need a lock. I need a lock bad. And you were like, take Ian. It was MVP versus Ian Gary. You're like, take Gary.
Okay, so I now remember that exact moment because I was.
Do you
walking,
remember? That was me, dude. That was me.
Yeah. So Joe Fortenbow and I were walking around, right, and we happened to run into Yanni, that was when you came up to us, right? So
that's when we came up to y'all. Yeah.
Yanni and I go way back because I called him out for how I thought how poorly he was at, not necessarily how bad his bets were on the Contender Series, which they're not been very good, but in the way he goes about giving them. Like he always talks about, I said this on Twitter, and I know it's a little hypocritical. I'm being very, hypocritical here because I don't want to like shit on people, but I did go on Twitter and say dude, you have this awesome platform and you keep talking about these sharps and these random people that are playing these bets. And there's no Italian mafia guys walking to the casino, putting 50 grand on an undefeated Kazakhstan fighter on the Contender Series. Like that doesn't help me if I don't know how to bet, right?
Yeah.
So him and I went on a podcast together and we kind of hashed it out. Since then, been friends. He's such a nice guy. You met him. He's super nice.
Yeah, he's super nice.
And I will tell you, he's eaten so much shit over the years. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's taken it on the chin more than, Ihor Potieria in his UFC career, right? This dude, honestly, dude, if you want to talk about someone who goes out on their shield, but who will still take it and talk to people. So I remember that moment, man. And it was funny. Both Yanni, I happened to say Ian Gary. And the minute, do you remember what I said, though, when Yanni walked away? I said, oh, God, that's his lock.
For real. And let me tell you, when I left there, because I was all weekend flying in, I was like, I'm taking MVP. So when you guys both told me, Gary, I looked at my boy, I was like, oh, we got to switch it. But it was funny because, the only thing with Yanni, I love you, Yanni, if you're watching, but the only thing about him is like, he'll tell you during the Contender Series at the end, he'll be like, well, if you would have taken this guy by sub round 1, this guy by knockout, and you put 100, you would have made $1 million. And I'm like, but who would do that? No one's gonna do it.
Listen. He is very funny. He will talk about one guy, and then the last second he'll take the other guy. Right? He does that too. He'll be like, you got to take the underdog here if you're going to go 3-2. But I'm going to lay the -500 chalk, and I'm just like, and then I'm doing this. I'm like, please, Yanni, I hope you hit this because the Contender Series, I will tell you, is very hard to bet.
Most volatile
hardest,
MMA betting there is. It is.
I don't even get mad when he loses like he does. I just personally can never give out. This is a betting lesson for all you guys out there. You will, if you've watched my show, you watch me. I will very rarely go above a -200 money line. Right at that point, if I like that guy, I'm going to take him in over a certain amount of rounds or method because even if I lose that, I'd rather lose and not have to pay so much than lose on a chalk, especially in the Contender Series. It's like it's like Bellator and PFL sometimes with these wonky lines. It's tough, man.
It's true. Yeah. I can't believe you remember that, dude. Yeah, because literally you won me money that weekend because that was the pick because I got in my own situation. I was in a bachelor party during that weekend, so I got all 17 guys looking at me like, well, what's the lock, Nick? You were I was like, well, Ian Parker told me face to face to take Gary. So all 17 guys took Gary. So it was a great celebration.
No, listen, and it's funny too, because I hate the whole the lock thing, right? Because bro, in betting in general, listen, if it's the NFL, you just gotta bet the Chiefs every week. And you're bailed out. Listen, look. You ready? Wait, hold on. Ken, I'm going to make you feel pretty good. Look, I'm a Giants fan, and I am rooting. But I'm rooting for Barkley, bro. I'm rooting for you.
There we go.
But if you don't think that every one of those refs is wearing Kansas City Chiefs underwear, all right, all right, because listen, it's good for business. Look, with MMA, betting is becoming very tricky with the judging. The refs, the whole thing's getting super tricky with all this stuff.
Yes.
So, I mean, when it comes to – so when you came up to me and asked for the lock, number one, that's like my kryptonite because I'm like,
don't need it. You can't give out that.
I hate using that term, but, I will say I was very confident in that fight, although I will say MVP fought that fight way better than I expected. I thought Ian was going to grapple way more. He wasn't able to do it as well as we thought, but that's what gave me more confidence on the MVP versus Shara Bullet, right? So sometimes what I do is, and this is where I'm kind of insane with what I do, which is maybe why I'm who I am. After that fight, I'll take my notes for the next fight for both guys, right? So I'm sitting there going hey, if people don't realize MVP, if he would have stayed on top after that scramble, he wins that fight.
He wins, yeah.
So if he does take on someone like Shara Bullet, why is he not going to use his striking to set up his wrestling when all you got to sneeze on the pirate to take him down? And
take him down,
So I mean, listen, those are one of those things that I'm happy I hit that one because at least that's salvaged.
Well, thank you.
yeah. Sure.
Okay, let's jump into this card, bro.
Let's roll.
All right, so we got UFC 312 this weekend. Some say top heavy card. We really only have 4 ranked fighters on there, and the rest we don't really know too much. All Oceanic fighters. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start off with with the
let's start at the bottom of the card. We'll work up.
All right.
Oh, you want to go through the whole thing? I'm just telling you right now, I haven't even done my stuff yet because my show is 4 p.m. Friday.
This is gonna be great for you. This is gonna be great for you, Ian.
So here's what I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm gonna give you guys where I'm leaning right now.
Okay.
Because I want to be transparent and fair to you guys and to your audience. I have not locked in a single thing yet. All right. So
all good.
So here's
the
what
main
we'll do.
card. Let's do just the main card. Lock in the bottom of the main card. Go up.
Yeah. We'll do main card. And if there's one or two that you guys are really torn on, I'll do my best to help you there.
Okay. We got? We got Jake Matthews, Francisco. Go down, Ken. Let me see what the odds are. I need to see what the odds are for the guys. Minus 218 on Jake. Okay, keep going. Go back to what you were doing. All right. Jake Matthews, Francisco Prado. Jake, what was Jake's last fight, Ian? I don't remember his.
I think he's coming off a loss. I think he went.
Yeah,
he won
I
one.
think both guys are.
Yeah, well, I don't even.
No, he's coming off a win.
Oh, he beat Philip Rowe.
Oh, okay. That's right. He beat Rowe. Okay.
Yeah, but he lost to Morales.
And then the one before that is where he went like this, and he won right before that, right? That was the one against. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. So look, this fight. This isn't a really this is a weird fight odds-wise. I would have thought Jake Matthews would have been more of a minus 285.
Yeah.
Only because Prado is a little small this class, and Jake is just so experienced, and there's not much when he's fighting someone at Prado's level that I feel like is going to surprise him. Prado's just super durable. So that number minus 218, I don't love. I do think Matthews is better everywhere. So for me, if you wanted to take this fight, get that number down, put together Matthews and over 1.5, you'll probably get that number down to a minus 140, which is way more playable if you're on the Matthews side. I've seen a few people take the underdog in Prado. I just think those people, though, and respectfully, I do love these guys, but they love chasing dogs. I just don't see where Prado wins here. It's not like Jake, and Jake's fighting at home, so it's not like cardio is going to be an issue for him. I also think he'll probably do a lot of wrestling here, so I wouldn't be surprised if Jake wins this, even by decision.
I was on the same boat as you for this one. Absolutely, yeah.
I agreed. It's weird. This is a weird fight to me just because Jake has so much experience, and then Prado is like, if you look at their fights, he has 14 combined fights. Jake has more UFC fights in total. So I would have thought that the odds would have been, a little bit more than 218 for Jake Matthews, but like I said, I'm not sure on this one. I'm leaning towards Matthew on that one too.
I think the odds makers saw this graphic and like, wow, Prado makes Prado look like he's a giant when he's really small guy. So the odds makers are like, look at this dude's head. He's on the sauce. We're going to go take him. I don't know. But...
All right,
moving up.
The returning Jimmy Crew.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say about Crute. I thought Crute was a really solid prospect for a while. I really did. This guy's got very good grappling, but he falls in love with his hands too much. And this dude Bellato is just a zombie. If you don't knock him out, he's going to take you out. I mean, but look, can Crute take him down and hold him down for a while? Maybe, but would he actually do that? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if Bellato sends him to the Shadow Realm and sends him out of the UFC at this point. It's just... This is also a really weird fight because you keep, when you think of Crute, you want to think about his skills, right? But then you got to really look at his UFC tenure lately. It's just not that good. He's been out for a while, a lot of injuries. And this Bellato guy is just if he didn't lose, Bellato, what was that last fight, right? Where he took an absolute beating. And then he came back and won by knockout.
Ehor. It was against Ehor, yeah.
Funny enough, yeah.
Man, it was against the worst fighter to ever do a celebration after beating Shogun. Bro, I listen. If you celebrate over Shogun's body, I just hate you.
I was right there with you.
That pistol,
like,
whatever thing he did, yeah.
I don't even know what the heck that even was. He was like, I don't even know what kind of celebration. First off, you're going to celebrate, do something cool, not something that people don't even know what you're doing. I was like, is he itchy? I didn't even know what was going on. I got to assume Bellato gets this done inside the distance.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I just don't know. I wonder if the over-under, if the over-under is even 1.5, I wouldn't even hate taking a shot on the under there because Bellato comes out fast, and we know he's durable. I just don't know, man. If Crute can't get him down, I don't know how he wins this fight.
The only thing that scared, like I said, I'm with you on the Bellato thing. And here's the thing: Jimmy Crute, as we can see, that chin has been compromised. Many a time.
His whole body's been compromised.
The only thing that scares me too about Bellato, like I said, is his competition, right? Like if I look at Bellato, Ken, bring up Bellato's last 4 fights instead of Crute's.
Oh, dude, it's against nobody.
Ken, get off of Crute.
KO.
No, go to Bellato. Ken, go to Bellato.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's all good. Yeah. But I'm just
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude.
But here's the thing, though, right? When you're in these situations, you kind of have to look at not so much where Bellato's at, is where Crute's really at, right? Because Bellato, at this point in his career, he hasn't really fought anybody that we're going to sit there and say, oh, top 15, top 10, top 12, whatever it is. You kind of have to just look at what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
And one, it's durability, and he just doesn't give up. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
Crute doesn't put him out.
I got you.
Or is able to, because even if he lays on him for round 1, how much is that going to take out of Crute to hold Bellato down?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because we know that Bellato, literally, if you don't kill this guy, he's going to kill you in the next round.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so. Look, here's another thing with that, right? So from betting advice, this guy's sitting at what, a minus? What is that? A 3 something, 4 something, whatever.
No,
it is.
minus 162.
162.
Oh, that's it. Oh, dude, it's so small on my phone. I'm sitting there going,
162.
Oh, you know what? I love Bellato.
He said Bellato.
Minus 162. How do you not take him there? It's just one of those things, too, where if you don't even like that line, I would wait and see if this gets into round 2. and see if not taking him live. Because maybe Crew takes him down and holds him, then you're getting a plus number on him in round 2.
Oh, that's
Could do
right.
that as well.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome.
We're in
Awesome.
agreement on
All
that.
right.
We're in agreement on that.
Cool. Moving on. This is an interesting one too. Another, I don't know what Justin Tafa's been doing recently.
Let me tell you, I'm taking Taliesin here, bro. I'm taking Taliesin here. I hate to do it. I watched this dude on Contender. He is a world beater. And I know, like I said, I know he's a rookie in the game, but Tafa's at home. Tafa hits hard, but this Taliesin dude is good, bro.
Yeah.
He's good.
I mean, here's the thing, though, right? And I just like, I'm not media in regards to journalists. I'm on air talent. I don't interview guys. But I would love to sit there with anyone who's fighting someone with the last name Tafa and just say, why don't you just wrestle?
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Like throw calf kicks. Like, look at the way Tafa's built. He's built like a French bulldog.
Tank,
He's not. He can't even touch his toes, so he's not going to reach down and catch your kicks. So if you're kicking out his calves and he can't throw those kicks, then the power gets taken away. I do think this kid Taliesin is a good prospect. I just hope his IQ is there, because if he could take Tafa down, fight's done.
Yeah.
You know, Tafa's like a negative white belt off his back, but we know he's so tough. I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't even be shocked. I hope we get an over 1.5 there. This is one of those heavyweight fights where, because I don't think he's knocking Tafa out so easily. I think if he's going to get Tafa out of there, he's got to take him down.
I'm noticing here too the 7 inches in height difference, the almost 10 inches.
I didn't even realize
difference.
this dude is 6'7".
6'7".
Dude, these graphics are so insane. I know it's like they're the same height here. When I mean, if you look at the arms and legs of Taliesin, they're both longer than Tafa's whole body. So it's so funny.
Come
bro.
on, UFC,
so funny.
fix this up,
dude. Imagine this is your first time betting. You're like, oh man, this Tafa guy looks so much bigger than Taliesin. Why is he the underdog? It's so funny. And then Prado, it's like Prado's. How does he make that weight?
It's true. It's so true, though.
He's got the jaw of Mr. Incredible.
Like Duber.
Right?
Oh man,
weird ass chin.
But I like that one.
So I guess listen, if you're going to play this, you'd have to go Taliesin. But like I said, over 1.5 could be sneaky. Maybe the odds makers don't pick up on it because both guys got knockout power. But when that happens too, sometimes you get a lot of hesitation, you get a lot of clinching. And you're going to have to really hold your breath for 7.5 minutes.
Minus 140, Ian. Minus 140 on the money line, plus 120 by knockout there.
Yeah, I don't know if I could take him by knockout. Tafa, I don't even know if Tafa's ever been knocked out or in the UFC. That's tough.
No, no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, he's got that. He's one of those, New Zealand gangsters. The Australian Polynesian combo.
Like a Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah.
Tai Tuivasa gets knocked out, but Tafa's Tai was the one. If him and Tafa are at like a bar, Tai's the one that starts it, gets dropped, and then Tafa kills everybody.
That's the quiet one. Yeah.
That's a good comparison.
Tuivasa is the sacrificial lamb for the Tafas, who then just literally kill people. So I get it. Yeah.
So I just can't believe this guy here. We'll go with the debuting guy.
Yeah. I just can't believe this is the third fight before we get to the main.
This is for the Australian fans, Ian. All right, stop. It's like, cut it out, Ken. Cut it out.
Jesus.
Ken, you are not wrong, my friend. You are not.
Lord
wrong.
have mercy.
This is tough. And when all you guys make fun of the PFL, I want you guys. I'm gonna
get on you about that in a second, but I'm gonna let this go.
Yeah, we're gonna talk
first.
about that. Yeah.
Sure, that'll be fun.
Ian, my girl Tati here, man. Come on, talk to me.
So look, you know what? It's interesting when you see someone like Zhang Weili, who's been very good for a while, right? At this number, it's hard to not jump on that. However, if you have not been able to see that her offensive wrestling has gotten really good. The takedown defense, though, is so questionable against Yan
She
Shinan.
took her down like 3 times.
Rose takes her down. Yeah. And, here's my whole thing with Tatiana Suarez. The only thing that makes me nervous is the inactivity due to injuries, illness, all this other stuff, right? The level of competition she has fought, I think she's caught someone like a Jessica Andrade at the right time. But at the same time, is she the female Khabib, right? Is she that one who just suffocates you with the pressure? Because here's the thing, when you talk about wrestlers, you almost want to be like, listen, if they can go like Merab with the cardio, it's hard to beat a wrestler like that. I do think this is Tatiana's fight to win here. because of that, I think she's got I don't know where her hands are really at. Her striking has never impressed me. That's the only thing, you know. And her training with her fiance, Patchy Mix, kind of the same thing. I'm not in love with his striking. I think his ground game is incredible. His striking is nothing to be over the moon about. But if she can use that just to clinch and turn this into a 5-round wrestling match, maybe even submit Zhang Weili, I do like Tatiana here, though. I do think because of Zhang Weili's takedown defense not being all that great, that's going to be a tough out for her against someone Tatiana who's an absolute beast.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you here. I know Tati had opened up as a slight underdog, and the lines had shifted the last couple weeks. For me, like I said, that was the exact thing I noticed too, was how easy Jan Zonana took down Weili in their last fight a couple times. It was really easy for her to do. I know she's taken it's been a year or so, a little bit over a year for her, so maybe that's what the focus has been. That's why she took all that time away and stepped away. So...
Well, she was injured. She was injured.
She was injured in that last one?
Yeah, I can tell you, nobody takes a year off just to go focus on stuff. Because honestly, in this sport, it just doesn't slow down.
Inactivity is the worst,
Yeah, she was supposed to fight, what was it, Jandiroba. She was all, I mean, honestly, I think if she wasn't injured, she probably would have fought for the title before Yan Xinan. But, you know, that she's just been, you know, she got like that Dominic Cruz thing, man. She's good for 6 months, comes back, wins a great fight, then gets injured or sick out for a year.
We're talking about Tati, or we're talking about... Oh, because I was talking about Zhang Weili. She's been out for a while now.
So what happened with Zhang Weili was she was supposed to fight the winner of Valentina Shevchenko and Grasso. She was going to go up and fight Valentina. Valentina got hurt, which is why this fight ended up happening.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I'm on board with you here. Like I said, for me, like I told Ken, if this fight goes to the ground, I just think that she's miles above whatever Weili's ever, you know, dealt with, you know, or ever seen in there. Because for me, like I said, I'm kind of, as you can tell, I'm a Suarez guy. But for me, I think she has the best female grappling in UFC completely, regardless of weight class. For me, so
yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, Zhang Weili is very just good everywhere. Off her back, look, she's not going to submit Tatiana off her back. So my question for Tatiana is going to be, when you take her down, are you going to hold her there? Are you going to keep her? Are you going to create enough damage? Because Weili's been through wars. I mean, look, that fight against Yan Xinan, she got dropped a couple of times too, and she came back and then dropped. So, I mean, you know, I don't want to count out Weili's warrior, you know, and heart and all this stuff. It's just that when Suarez is on top of you, you know, if it's anything like the way people describe Khabib, it's just having like this gorilla on you, you know. And if you've ever been in a room with someone like that, it is miserable. So I do think that's where Tatiana shines, and I think that is how the fight's going to probably end up going.
Interesting. I'm gonna have a little fun here, and I'm gonna be emotional here. I'm going Weili, second round KO.
Yeah, dude. Listen,
I just think, I know we're. Nick and I are big Extreme Couture fans. We love Eric Nixick. He was on the show, but I'm gonna have to pick Weili here. I think.
Oh look!
It's just so close.
Before you go further, listen, Weili. I don't blame you for the pick. The knockout thing, though, I would take your actions, you know, every day and twice on Sunday. Because here's my thing: how does she knock out Tatiana? Right? Is it just on the feet, clean shot? I don't think she's going to have an opportunity to even do that.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
And look, here's the thing. Eric is one of the best coaches in the world. And the thing about Eric that makes him so incredibly special, and I'm not just saying this because he's a friend or, you know, just to blow smoke, he is just so in tuned.
Detail-oriented.
Not just with every moment of every fight. And he will not just tell Tatiana, hey, when you wrestle, do this. He's going to tell her, hey, the minute Weili takes a step to the left, that's when you throw this into this into this. And he's like a human playbook.
Yeah.
That's why his team has, I mean, listen, Extreme Couture has always been a good gym, but with him as head coach, they become a great gym. Up. That's been the difference.
That's
here.
The reason I do this, because that's actually a friend of mine in real life. Shout out to you, Eric, by the way. I know you're watching.
For sure. Shout out to Eric.
He watches our videos. But yeah, I agree with you 100% there.
All right. Not too many guys.
Stop playing, Ken. Stop playing.
He loves showing this fucking picture, dude.
But Ken, look, that graphic, bro. Again, listen, Ken, I don't hate on the Weili pick though. Listen, at those odds and what she's accomplished in her career compared to Tatiana so far, I do not blame you for that pick. This is kind of a coin flip type of fight, so I don't blame you.
It's gonna be fun to watch. Fun to watch though.
Yeah, and I'm sure Eric has game plan, but you just got to tell Tati to be careful on the way she's doing these takedowns because she might get hit with a knee, she might get hit with an elbow.
Possible, very possible.
So just be careful.
Oh, yeah.
And we got the main event here. Another Extreme Couture product here. Sean Strickland, DDP. Interesting fight, especially how the last one went out. I watched that fight 4 times. I got a different result every single time. I thought DDP won the first time. I thought Sean won the second. The second time I watched it, the third time I thought it was a draw. The fourth time I thought Sean won. It's
in the UFC, bro. To beat the champ, you gotta beat him. So for me, like I'm okay with the DDP call. Ian, I know how it works for rounds 4 and 5, man. You gotta really go in rounds 4 and 5 and get it done, dude.
I don't blame you for saying it. I just hate it because really that's not how it should be.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: when these judges are sitting there, nobody's the champ when they're fighting, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Right? You have 2 guys, whatever the result, and listen, I just don't understand how these judges all have jobs. It's wild with some of these
Dude.
scorecards. I mean, like forget even bias on some of these bets. Like I didn't even have a hand in the Hamdi Jamal Pokes fight, and I'm sitting there going, number one, 30-27 either which way is mind blowing. Mind blowing. I think we should bring 9-9s back.
That was my first leg, dude. That was my first leg was Jamal Pokes by decision. So I can already tell you.
Oh, listen, I said to people if my lean was on Hamdi in that one, and it wasn't a comfortable lean. It was just because he's annoying and just doesn't stop, and Jamal sometimes slows down. But let's get into this main event. I don't even want to waste time on that shit fight anyway. It is what it is. It really was. It wasn't a good fight to begin with. All right, so here's my thing, right? When you look at these 2 guys, well, first off, you want to talk about coaches, Eric Nixick. This is where you got to give his flowers because Sean doesn't listen to a goddamn thing he says at all. And I know that's Eric's frustration when it comes, but Sean, when he does, it's different. Sean is a smart fighter. He really doesn't make mistakes. I didn't really have an issue with the way he fought Paulo Costa because, look, if it works and he's winning, why do something stupid and get caught and lose the fight, right? It is what it is. However, between the 2 guys, I think the higher ceiling of skill set and metric goes to Duplessis.
No.
The reason I say that is, listen, it's very hard to take Sean down. Very underrated wrestling, and his cardio is incredible.
Insane.
DDP, though, he's one of those guys where, again, if you talk about people in the gym, when he gets on top of you, he is just so physically strong. Look, you want to talk about who's going to win this fight? The odds keep going back towards Strickland, when I find very interesting. Because DDP was minus 220 a few days ago. Now he's what does it say on your screen right now?
Minus 205.
See, like yesterday on DraftKings or whatever, or ESPN Bet, he was like minus 198. So you're getting a lot of up and down here. Honestly, this fight's got to be going all 5 rounds again. I don't see how this fight doesn't go the distance. I don't think anyone's getting finished. I know the over 4.5 was at minus 200. So if you don't want to spend that juice, you want to shrink it down. Because I think Duplessis will win this fight. I think he's got more ways to win. But from a betting perspective, I would say taking this fight to go the distance is probably the best bang for your buck. I'm not all that excited for this fight, though. I got to be honest. I thought the first one was as good as you're going to get out of these 2, right? What possibly difference going to be done here? Maybe DDP tries to wrestle more, which is what I would advise. But
correct.
I will say this: Strickland is doing quite a good job selling a fight between him and Chimaev if he can win.
If he can win,
Maybe Sean's also so confident that Chimaev just can't get into the United States that he could say whatever he wants. It'll never happen. But if you're asking me which way I would lean Duplessis. I think he's done a little bit more with his skill set since his win. You saw it against Adesanya. Even on the striking, it did look a little bit better. He's such an odd fighter in general. He really is. He just throws the weirdest stuff, and he's able to make it work. Yeah. So, I would lean Duplessis. I don't like that number. So if you want to go Duplessis maybe over 2.5 rounds, you'll get a better number there. But over 4.5 or a fight going all 5 is the way I would play.
I love it. I mean, I love the pick. This is another just like the co-main. It's like a flip to me. Like I agree with you. I don't see how this could be any different than what they did last time. For me, like I said, I'm gonna go Strickland. The only thing that scares me, Ian, is I saw the photo yesterday, and I'll say this out loud.
Did you see his arm?
I'm gonna be quiet, but you know what I'm talking about. That scares me a little bit.
Well, you know what's funny though is when Benoit Saint Denis had it, right? One of my buddies who's a doctor goes, that looks like day 3 to 5 on antibiotics, and I'm just like, that is utterly specific because I come from a wrestling background. I know when guys have ringworm, staph, all that stuff. But the reason why he said that was when you're on that day of the antibiotic, that's when your body gets it the worst, right? When you're holding in all the fluid, your cardio. And we've never seen Benoit Saint Denis get that tired, right?
Ever.
I mean, ever. And there was a few other guys. I think the only person that it didn't impact as much was Islam Makhachev. But even Islam said he was feeling it. So, I mean, look, Strickland is known for his cardio. You know, that's tough. What did he say in the media thing this morning? What was it? He goes, I don't have staph, I give staph. And I'm like, my God, is that so on brand for Sean Strickland? Because in order to give it, you have to have it.
Can you imagine Eric's face in the back?
Well,
he's like,
yeah, because like they're not even trying to hide it. Like Sean will wear a tank top. You know, I said what did I say on Twitter? I said, man, he could have pulled a Chuck Norris here and said like he doesn't what was it? He doesn't get staph. He creates staph. I don't know. It was something of that nature. Like staph staph gets infected by Strickland. Strickland doesn't get infected by staph. That was what I said. Yeah, I mean, look, my thing with that is if he is on antibiotics, and that, you know, no matter how good your cardio is, it can affect you. To what extent, I don't know. I think it's crazy how blatantly obvious it is and on the spot that it's on, and it's not small.
Ian, what's going on these days that this is getting like more normal? I feel like we're starting to see this now happen all the time.
Why are we normalizing not showering after practice?
Like, what's
going on right now?
What is going on?
I feel like every single main event, I think in the last 8 months, somebody has had
staph infection. Yeah.
And my favorite part is they deny it, and then the minute they get on the microphone after they win, they're like, listen, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I have a giant hole in my shin. Listen, you get staph from only a few ways, and all those few ways have a lot in common. It's if someone else gave it to you, cleaning the mats. Listen, all these gyms, they clean it, but these guys train with so many different guys. Who knows? But it is getting very weird how too common it's become. I agree with you. It seems like we're seeing it. I'm telling you, I forgot who it is on Twitter. It's like every single time I see the circle, it's like staph alert. Every single time. It's unbelievable. It's gross, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
I was leaning Strickland.
Right, yeah.
I was gonna lean Strickland too. The staph scares me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was leaning that way beforehand.
Sure.
Just because we talked with Eric. As like I said, I talked to my boy Eric last week a couple weeks ago on here, and he was giving us the game plan, and he got me all sold on what he's gonna do, and I'm like, all right, fine. So,
sure.
But like you said, Sean never listens to the game plan anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
Sean's gonna Sean.
I would take Strickland points. I think that's at plus 270 right now. I'm gonna go for it. I'm not gonna lay any chalk on it. But it's good. I'll probably go.
No, if you're gonna take him, I think that's a good way to take him.
Yeah.
You might as well at that point because he's not. I don't think he's finishing Duplessis.
No.
So you might as well get your number up there. That's a good play. I like that.
All right, and that wraps up the.
That's the thing.
I know what you guys are doing, though. I know you got the itch. You want to fire away with some PFL stuff.
Yeah. You know what, Ian? I do because let me tell you, you're defending.
Let's get dirty.
Me and you. We like I said, I've seen it. The problem with me, we just had Kai on here. All right. So Kai was here last weekend?
Kai Kamaka.
Yeah, he was on here.
I like Kai.
And he was talking to us for a while,
Sure.
and he had a lot to say. For me, I just want to know, like, what do you think? I'm not going to use the word downfall because I don't think it's a downfall in any means, but we're in a very weird time. And Kai described it. I quote what he said. He said it's the worst merger that he's ever seen in sports is what he said it was. I know you're gonna roll the eye there. I'm just repeating what he said.
Right. So here's what I will say. Number one, I'm not, if you guys have known me, followed me for a while, the one thing I don't do is I do not trash fighters. I don't disrespect them. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? Here's the thing where I get a little confused sometimes with someone like a Kai Kamaka. He fought in the PFL season last year. He was active.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the issue was. Like I'm not, I'm behind. Like I get told things behind the scenes to an extent.
Correct.
I'm not management. I'm not the matchmaker. None of this. But Kai was in the season, so he was active. If he, I don't even really know what the complaint was.
He was saying that the problem with him was I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said that his problem was he was arguably the number one contender, right? He said he fought Brendan Loughnane. He said he felt like he won the fight. And I know.
But
I know. I'm just repeating what he said. He said that he felt like.
hold on, but pause. Let's just can we stop right there?
Stop right there.
I just want to stop right there for a second.
Okay.
You can't, first off, he didn't win that fight, and he was competitive, but you can't be a number one. First off, that if he won, he gets to the finals.
Yeah.
So there's no number one contender. Number one, number two, he lost. So all right. So right there is where I already have a problem with. There's a little bit of delusion there, and that's unfortunate because I thought Kai fought tremendous against, what was it, Bubba Jenkins in the first
Bubba
fight,
Jenkins,
right?
yep.
He looked, that was the
best
I was
one. Yep.
on the air. I said Kai Kamaka just showed he's the dark horse of this division. It's the best Kai Kamaka I've ever seen. And I even said when he got released from the UFC, this is a guy that will only get better. Now, fighting Brendan Loughnane, although has lost every time in the final except for one time, but Loughnane is still a very good fighter.
Very.
Loughnane is a pain in the ass to fight because you don't finish him, right? And he is just, unless you're Jesus Pineda with steel knees, but he's just incredibly tough. And I even thought that Kai's stock still was going up after the loss. Not, I think I won. He didn't win that fight, right? So now continue to what the complaint was.
Okay.
Right there, him saying he thought he's number one contender is
the next
wild.
thing he said, he was the backup for the championship fight. And he was saying, and then he said that what happened after that, he couldn't get booked. He said that the offers being presented to him were that of a newbie off the street and not a guy that just established himself.
But what is that? But what I don't even know. But I don't even. So this is where I get so confused, guys. All right.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not knocking him. I'm just being so honest. No, yeah. Here, all right. I love that he's hungry, right? But you lost. You were offered the backup, which means he probably got paid to weigh in. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I didn't ask that part.
Yeah, we didn't ask all
that. Just to let you know, Pitbull was sitting there trashing the PFL forever today. Yet he didn't seem to mention that when he didn't take the fight against Braga, who missed weight, the PFL still paid Pitbull, I think $200,000 or $300,000 when he didn't accept the fight against Braga, right? So I'm not sitting here saying the PFL's done everything correct. I'd be lying. There's no doubt. And you guys see me on Twitter. I'm as honest as it gets both ways. People just like to jump on when they think I'm defending. I don't defend. I'm just presenting facts when you're just hearing from one side of the fighter, because sometimes Don and whoever don't necessarily want to address
they don't go back and forth
through Twitter. And if you notice, Dana doesn't address it to a press conference or a post conference. He doesn't put that stuff on Twitter either. Kai was the backup. But after that, there was no other card other than January going up and then the tournament coming up. I believe it starts in April, along with their new championship series, which I don't know when the first event. I'll be honest, I don't know when that first event's going to be, other than the PFL tournament. The new version of it will start in April. I think it's April to May, and then June and July, and then the championship will be 3 separate nights instead of 12 5-round fights in one day, which I'll be sitting here in my studio, like this after 17 hours. But I'm confused with Kai because Kai, it's not like he went to the UFC. He went and signed with the
PFL, man.
Yeah, and that's another thing we're going to talk about. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I wish him the best. Good luck. But, it's, with Kai, that part surprises me, right? Because, I understand he wants to be out. He probably would have been in the tournament. So, I don't really understand. And it's not when he was with the UFC, he was getting booked every 3 months. And nothing against Kai, but, he's not the most popular fighter on planet Earth, right? I mean, I think he's excellent. I think he's still got a ton of potential. I would have loved to see him stay, but they had no problem letting him go because there's the fans aren't like, oh my God, we're not going to watch you because, Kai left. I'm sitting there going that sucks because I still think Kai had a lot to offer, right? I think going into his first season, fighting someone like Bubba Jenkins, who I thought still had something left in the tank, and fighting Loughnane is a good test to see where you are at in your career. And he did not lose by much. So who's to say he doesn't come back this season and fight, I'm pretty sure Loughnane is going to, not be in the tournament. I think he's tired of doing tournaments, so he'll get other fights. But it's that, that part was a little wild to me. I didn't really see what Kai saw there. With Pitbull, that's a whole different story. I actually don't even understand his whole thing either, because the amount of money that he's not
going to get another promotion. No.
Bro, dude was getting, I think, between $800,000 and $900,000 flat.
Jesus Christ.
Okay? And now, if you could honestly tell me, and you guys, and listen, if you guys think I'm wrong, say it. Okay,
I will.
and this is go ahead. Number one, is he worth that money in any other organization? No, he's not. And I'm not talking about fighter pay. Fighters deserve way more money. Like, I'm all for fighter pay,
Yeah.
but just speaking about
Popularity,
but
no.
I'm just talking about based on where fighters are at in regards to their pay, just relative to fighter pay. No, he is not worth 900. He's not bringing in enough eyes to justify 900. Even if he would to have fought Aaron Pico, which is the fight they were trying to put together. Okay, UFC is not going to give him even, I think, $300,000 if they sign him.
Just to give you a quick pushback, though, how much of that is the PFL's marketing versus the UFC's marketing? So if they took someone like Pitbull and they put him on the UFC roster, the way they promote, the way they get their cash cows, you know, we're talking the O'Malley's, we're talking the Khabibs, we're talking the Islams, the way they promote and just the way that whole machine like works.
It's not even comparable. You can't compare the machines. You can't compare the machines.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. So how much of that is, are you justifying, are you saying his worth isn't whatever he's getting paid now? And I'm talking about Pitbull because of where he's at.
Well,
would his popularity increase if he went to another?
It's tough because here's the thing. Pitbull is one of the very few guys that could come over from a Bellator or PFL and have that popularity transition, right?
Yeah.
But this dude's also, 39 years old?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
He was losing to Jeremy Kennedy until he caught Kennedy, right? So the UFC is probably sitting there going, like, if we're going to bring him in here, how do we get the most value, right? And maybe you put him on a Brazil pay-per-view, you have him fight Jose Aldo. Dope. Like, that's a dope fight.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be willing to start over and put the machine behind him because, number one, how much time does he have left? And also, prior to his fight with Kennedy, actually, didn't he just get knocked out in Japan?
He lost.
Someone that no one even knows. So, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different factors there when it comes to that. So to answer your question, if the UFC decides to sign me tomorrow, put the machine behind me, I'm going to become extremely popular. So I can't even compare the marketing machine, right? But keep in mind, though, the PFL has only had him on the roster for, a year. But I'm not defending the PFL's promotional skills or whatever it is. It's a whole different ballgame. They're not going to be able to build guys up the way the UFC is. It's just such a whole different scenario. I'm just sitting there going, if the UFC had Pitbull in his prime, of course he would have made that much money on pay-per-views if he was the champ, even if he was able to win. I don't know if he has that same success in this weight class, which is probably has the most depth now in all of MMA. So there's I mean, look, would I love to see him now fight in the UFC against a couple of matchups? I don't know if I'm like, oh, yo, sick, him versus Aldo, both in their 40s. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
yeah,
it's tough. Look, for the fighters, I want fighters to be active. I want them to be happy. And I really don't know what he was so upset about. He did get booked to fight Pinedo. Pinedo, got hurt. They put Braga in. Braga missed weight. That's nobody's fault, right? They booked him against Kennedy. He won. And then after that, it was just trying to remember, like, it's also a business. So they're not going to put a random person with him for a title fight and pay him $900,000. That's another part that has to be taken into consideration. I'm not, so there's a lot of factors, man. I understand Pitbull maybe at this point in his career, like he's getting older. There's not much left for him. The Kai Kamaka thing, though, Kai went to the GFL. GFL, I don't even like. That shit's crazy.
Let me tell you my problem, Ian. All right, and I'll be honest. Like
Please.
I said, I dedicate. Like I said,
no,
I don't
dude,
get paid. I don't get paid. I don't get paid for this, but I dedicate my life to this. I watch a lot of MMA.
Let's go. Let's go.
So for me, as the consumer, the merger sometimes gets me very confused.
Okay.
Like I said, Kai, I get where you're coming from with your points, and I do think some of them are very valid. The whole not being booked thing, though, I see is a common trend among these guys that are talking, especially now with Patchy.
But here's the thing, though. There's so much. But here's the thing, though. They're not getting booked. Like, keep in mind, Kai was the backup for the championship in November.
Correct.
We just got out of January.
I'm with you.
It's not like guys in the UFC are fighting every 2 months unless they're taking stuff on short notice, right? And when you go into the PFL, you have to also understand they are not set up like the UFC where it's a pay-per-view every month plus 3 fight nights. It's just they're not there yet.
Correct.
Right? Yet. Maybe. So when he's complaining about being inactive, I don't think he's got a leg to stand on because he's not booked yet because they only had one card in January. So they're booking out the tournament. They're setting up their things. He would have been in the tournament probably, unless he was to be. Listen, if he was told he's not in the tournament, then he's correct. Then he's absolutely correct, and he would have been inactive, right? But if he was booked for the tournament, he would have been put in April, right?
Yeah.
So which from April, November is not that crazy. I mean, like think about Marab, who just fought in January. You think we're seeing Marab anytime before International Fight Week? How many months is that? And I'm not saying that everyone's like that. I'm just saying that there's a big difference in inactivity and inactivity, right? Like Patchy just fought in May, okay? Like that wasn't that long ago. And that fight, people thought that he lost that fight. Not that that's what you take into consideration. I'm just saying like that was a very competitive fight with Magomedov. For Patchy, he was upset that he didn't fight on the January card, right? But if you don't think they're trying to book Patchy, of course they are. But look who he has also, right? Like if you ready, I'll play matchmaker. If you guys right now, because I don't even know who's going into the tournament yet. It's still getting figured out because of injuries and all this other stuff, right? So if you're the PFL and you're going to book Patchy Mix, because Patchy's really complaining about inactivity. Trust me, they want to book him, but you got to book him with the correct fights also. Who does he fight right now? Who's the top of the list? Do you do a trilogy with Magomedov? I mean, it was a close fight, but it's not exciting. Do you have him fight Raytheon Stotts, who's on a one-fight win streak against a Brazilian guy that no one's heard of? Not really. Do you do Leandro Higo, who's just coming off a one-win fight streak, who already lost to Patchy Mix? Not really. So, there's a lot of factors in there, right? And Patchy gets paid a lot of money. I think Patchy gets like $800 to $900 also. He gets a lot of money. So
he's a champion.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Bro, and I agree with you, and I think he's worth the investment, and he's young, and he's really solid. I just think that some of these guys, when they talk about activity, almost don't have a clue what they're talking about because, of course, they're going to try. And again, I'm not defending. I'm just speaking.
No, of course,
facts.
I'm just speaking with the sport because look, I wanted Patchy to fight in January, but I have no influence on who fights on what card, right? I said, listen, I also don't know the financials. I know the money's fine, but you know what? Like, hey, I'd rather put Patchy in the tournament at this point, and deal with the money after. But you can't even do that. It's tough.
But this is where I touch back to being confused though, because like I said, we have the PFL tournament. We have like the road to Riyadh that's lasted forever. We got the
long road.
Yeah, it's the longest long road. We got these super fights that are just super cards. And like for me, like I said, I just feel like there's just way too much going on. I feel like the consumer sits back and is like what's happening here? Like where do I look or where can I see this guy? Like I think of a guy like Corey Anderson too that hasn't fought in a little bit. That's also a champ. But like for me, it's just like I said, I just think since we introduced Francis, and I love Francis, and since we introduced Jake Paul into this madness, it's just been like it's all over the place for me. Like I just don't. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Because I don't know where to look anymore.
No, it's tough. So here's the thing, right? When you acquire, so you guys remember when the UFC acquired Strikeforce, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what I will tell you, because I did manage guys that were in Strikeforce that went over. So when people are like, oh, when the UFC bought Strikeforce, they took everybody, they paid everybody. No, they friggin' did not. They released so many guys, and what they said was to a lot of guys, I mean, like I had John Vellante, and I talked to Joe Sylvan, so I was like, listen, we are not going to pay him what Strikeforce paid him. We're going to give him this deal. If he doesn't like it, we don't need him. Okay? So guess what? When the PFL acquired Bellator, and I think you guys are smart enough to know, a lot of these Bellator contracts were
insane,
wild.
Yeah,
and they need and the PFL knew what they were taking on by assumption, hoping to restructure, renegotiate, because let's be real, none of these guys are going to the UFC and getting that even close. I think there was a lot of hope that they were going to do Bellator versus PFL and this and that, right? But then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, we can't put all the best guys in this tournament financially because these guys' contracts are insane. Because if these guys were getting paid based on the UFC's pay scale, okay, you would have probably seen Corey Anderson in the tournament. You would have seen Antonio McKee Jr. who makes like $1 million flat, like in the tournament. You would have seen it the way we really wanted that, right? Like when I heard that, I was like, nice, get all these guys in the tournament. Like I want to see, Jason Jackson in there. I don't want to see him fighting another Dagestani from Bellator I've never heard of that's probably going to beat him, right? So I think what they had to do was they had to go through a lot of headaches in year one, right? Because to your point, you got PFL Europe, you got PFL MENA, which they do so well in Europe, which is kind of crazy. Like it's wild.
They do.
They sell out. They sell out there, which is nuts. I think what they are hopeful to do is that the PFL MENA and the PFL Europe will build their champions. They will build prospects to coming over here, right? Because that's the way I think they should do it. Like go sign the Cage Warrior guys, Octagon, KSW champions, put them all in PFL Europe, have them win the tournament there, then put them in the tournament here. That's how you build prospects in general.
Dakota DeCheva, you know what I'm saying?
Dakota right there.
Yeah.
I mean, she is someone that, obviously you have a potential star there. I think the money with the salaries, what these guys are making was really the biggest hurdle to get over. So what I will tell you is this. I think they are trying to become less confusing by doing the tournament, how they're going to do it. And then they're going to have the champion series where the tournament is, even if you win it, you then become either you graduate to the champion series, right? Or you become the number one contender. That part's not even clear to me yet, but that to me, it's either one of two ways. And by doing that, that's how they're going to be able to build these divisions with real rankings. Because right now, if they go out there and release rankings, we're all going to sit there and be like, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like there's no point, right? Because I think what the MMA consumer wants, we just want MMA on the same level of fighter, just on a different night. Yeah. And for the fighters, I just want it for them to doesn't have to be UFC or bust, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that. It's hard enough being a professional fighter with longevity. So when people are like, oh, the PFL should just fold, everyone should go to the UFC, dude, if it folds, these guys aren't going to have jobs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys are not getting signed by the UFC because the UFC doesn't need to do that. They just will roll the contender series out. And they'll just keep building, to your point, Ken, the machine. So I think the PFL has taken the time, and I could say that this part I could say from behind the scenes. There's still a lot of stuff I don't know. And you could ask any question you want. I'll be honest, as much as I know. I feel like if they addressed more things, it would be more clear, because if not, fans love to jump on the opinions of these fighters and all this other stuff. Yeah. But, there's a reason why Corey Anderson's not asking for his release, because he's getting the UFC well, the UFC won't sign him.
They won't sign him.
Right? So what?
They won't sign him.
They're not going to sign him at this point. And I think Corey is extremely talented. And I think the PFL does consider Corey, that 205 champ. So I think he will. I hope they have him fight Doublet, who won last season with the PFL. Have them, each fight kind of unify, go that way. I hope we see like a Goltsov versus Nemkov, or Nemkov versus Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
They have decent rosters. It's just you're not wrong for thinking it's confusing. It's a lot. And sometimes, some of the things they have said with comparison to the UFC has kind of come back, but I will say this, Don and Pete are working very hard, and it's not about a defense thing. I'm just telling you what I see, right?
No, it's fair.
Like I can't sit here and say to you when they're like, oh, the Battle of the Giants is comparable to UFC 300. It's a tough sell, right? Yeah. It's just tough. And the thing with Jake Paul, look, here's what I will say, Jake, about listen. Here's the pro and the con about Jake. The con about Jake is we're all kind of just like, we don't even know what this is anymore, right? The pro is that the dude gets everyone to talk about him. Him and his brother are marketing geniuses. They are athletes.
They are.
I will say Jake does take boxing seriously. Listen, I think he's going to be fighting Canelo in May.
That's what I was just about to talk about. That's what I was just about to talk about. First of all, Ian, that's a joke, though. That's a joke. It's a joke, bro. Come on. Bad look for Canelo. Bad look for Canelo.
Can I tell you this, though? If you're Canelo, can you blame him? I mean, he's gonna make so much money.
Ian, we had David Benavidez on here last week. That is my fucking guy. And I will tell you that it sucks for me, because like I said, for me it's like, well, that's the guy that you're ducking. And I'm going to use the word ducking because he is ducking. That's the guy that you're ducking, that's 30-0, has all the belts that you need in your remaining weight class, and has gone up because you refuse to
Sure.
fight him.
You refuse to fight him.
And he's offered you a crazy split, but you're going to go fight Jake Paul and then tell me that it has nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it drives me absolutely nuts. It drives me crazy.
Listen, I'm confident in my years of training in martial arts that I'm not afraid of people, but I also am not going to talk shit about Canelo because I might run into him at some point. I don't want to get punched in the face. Believe me, when I went against Sergey Pavlovich when he fought Aspinall, and then I'm not kidding you, him and I were sitting next to each other on the plane on the way home to Florida. I was like, hope he doesn't know who I am. Hope he doesn't know who I am. You know, I'm not kidding. It was me, Pavlovich, and someone with a newborn baby. And I text Chael Sodin. I took like a
What
selfie
a
while Pavlovich
combo.
was sleeping. I said to Chael, I go, you know how bad the UFC must hate that you just lost. If they're not even, they put him in the middle, right before the bathrooms on a flight.
Big ass human being, dude.
Bro, he's just like, my God. But you know, look, with Jake for the PFL, I just need him to just market it, you know, and just use his platform. I really don't want to ever see him in an MMA cage. I don't think it's necessary. I don't even know who they would sanction to let him fight. It would have to be someone that's like, you know, 2-0 or 1-3. They're not going to get him versus anyone of significance because the athletic commission just won't let it happen. You know, look, I think for the PFL, they are figuring things out. We just, you know, that last card, I mean, that Nurmagomedov Paul Hughes fight was fantastic.
It was awesome.
So I think
Yes.
It was awesome.
Great
you know,
fight. Great fight.
And I love when people are like, oh, these two guys, they need to go to the UFC tomorrow. I'm like, you guys, I was like, that's just, why is it always the narrative? It's so weird. You know, Hughes chose the PFL over the UFC because, you know, PFL gave him a better deal. And Usman signed like a 2-year extension. So they're both not going anywhere. Nemkov doesn't read his own contract. He's got 2 fights left that'll expire at the end of the year. I don't know why.
He said his contract was expired already.
Yeah, I think what he might have meant to say was that if he doesn't, you know, get the fights he wants, he might as well not fight type of thing. I'm guessing. I don't know. Because, like, he had Corey Anderson, and he said he didn't want to fight Corey, and then he gets Tim Johnson, and that was just, you know, a gross fight. Look, I think the PFL, here's what I will say. In a non-biased, best that I'm trying to do, I think Don and Pete are extremely passionate about the sport. Even though Don does not, you know, has said, I don't watch every single fight with the UFC, whatever it is. Look, Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa don't even watch MMA. All right? And they're some of the fan favorites. Yeah. I will say that these guys are nonstop around the clock. They're trying to figure it out. They want to put out a good product, man. They don't want to put something out that people don't like, obviously, especially when they're putting their names on the line, a lot of money into it, and they're on the ESPN platform. So my hope is that with the team that they have, a new team they have around them, that things are going to go in the right direction, you know, because if not, you know, I don't know what that really means. I mean, listen, I hope that they're there forever. They treat me really well. I do love working for them. The fights are a lot of fun. It's a completely separate deal I have with them from ESPN. So, you know, I enjoy my time with them. Everyone's super nice. You know, I talk to Don here and there, and he asks for my opinion on things, so which is cool. You know, I don't know if Dana, you know, reaches out to Yanni,
would do something like that.
Ask him for his opinion. You know, he'll be like, Dana, you don't take the underdog here, but you know, it's, but
awesome.
You know, like I said, listen, there's potential there. They got the rosters for the fighters that feel like they've been wronged or inactive. I do feel for them. The fighters got to come first in the situation. I don't know what conversations are being had between Patchy and Upper Level. You know, I can tell you Upper Level wants to keep him. He's not someone they want to lose despite the number. You know, like I said, I just want to see this year be a positive one for them. Put on the best fights they possibly can. And look, I think we've seen that with an Usman Hughes thing, that is possible, that the PFL can put on some great fights and doesn't have to be in the UFC. And it doesn't mean either that they have to compare themselves to the UFC. You know, nothing has to be, you know, it's like
that's
WWF.
the problem. I feel like that's the problem.
Bro, it's like the Monday Night Wars of wrestling back in the day. You had Raw,
Stop doing it, because every time they do it, it doesn't pan out. Just stop doing it.
It's also not necessary. You know, I've said to them, it is more than okay to be the number one MMA organization on Thursday and Friday night. You know, I said there is.
Why not? Exactly. Yeah.
You know, because I tried to tell them, listen, do you think anybody watches the Contender Series for the skill level or because the best fighters are fighting on the card? Hell no. It's because everyone wants to bet on MMA on a Tuesday, and there's MMA on a Tuesday. That's it. You know, it's it. We got our MMA fights on a Tuesday.
Those fights are fun as hell, though, Ian. Those fights are fun as hell.
For sure, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like, let us have some fun. Let us have some fun. That's all we want. We just want to have fun.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I do think a lot of things going behind the scenes that people don't hear or see that they're trying to push in the right way. That's the best I could really give you with that. So
awesome.
And Kai
awesome.
Kamaka, bro, I love you, Kai Kamaka. Kai, listen, I wish that I could have spoken to him.
No, we're big fans too.
No, because listen, I would have went to bat for him if that was really his complaint. Because now my concern for him, he's going to have a year of doing nothing with the GFL. Listen, I don't speak bad about anybody.
No, he's not, Ian. He's not. They guaranteed him. You got to go watch my video. Go watch the video.
Bro,
I'm going to send you the bit.
Listen. All I'm going to say is this, okay? Based on what we've seen and what's being told and heard, if it happens, it happens. It's a hard one to really digest. It's extremely confusing. One of the guys they drafted was fighting on the PFL main card that same night. They drafted Carlos, Junior Shoeface. Shoeface is still with the PFL. So there's, Rashad Evans, was drafted.
Rashad Evans was like, I have a fight lined up. He's like, how'd you draft me?
Bro, I think I was drafted like number 6. I don't know. It's all crazy. Yeah.
Let's just hope this doesn't end in a PFL GFL merger.
Wait, Ken, before you end it, what last 2 questions? Quick answers.
Yeah,
not go. PFL related. Future, well, 1, 2. We got quick. Future matchups. All right. What do you think of Pereira Ankalaev, and what do you think about this Topuria Islam fight that's being rumored for Miami? What do you think about that?
If Ankalaev doesn't wrestle, he loses that fight. In my opinion,
he said he wasn't.
I mean, listen, yeah, that's cool.
He's a liar. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I also look a lot taller than I am, so that doesn't matter on camera. So that's not even, maybe I don't. I don't know, but that's a weird one. Why not wrestle in that situation? That's crazy. In regards to Islam and Topuria, I really don't like it. I really would like to see. Not that I want to see Topuria fight Volk, okay, but he's only beat Volk and Holloway, and not like only, but like there are 2 guys in my opinion.
Got to defend your belt.
I want to see him fight Diego Lopez. I want to see him fight Mosfar Evlaev. If he goes and smokes those 2 guys, give this guy whatever the heck he wants. But
do whatever the fuck you want.
Right. But here's what I would say for Islam. Islam's in a very, very tricky situation because really outside of Arman Sarukian, although he's beaten him already, right? Who is there really left for Islam to fight at 55 that proves him anything? That's the other part of it that's confusing, right? Because we all love Oliveira, but I don't think the result would be any different, right? With Arman, I don't think the result would be any different. I thought Islam was going to win that fight anyways. So when Dana's sitting there going we have a fun surprise, outside of Topuria, I don't know who else unless he were to go up and fight 70, but a non-title fight, because he's not going to fight Bilal because Bilal trains with Khabib's team. Unless he has a super fight.
They train together.
Maybe you do Islam Makhachev versus Kamaru Usman in some sort of in a 170, weird super fight thing. I just made that up out of thin air. That actually, I mean, listen, Usman does not deserve a title shot, but if he goes out there and beats Islam, I would be okay with it. So, but guys, I'm so confused about that situation too, and I kind of feel for Islam because it's like he fought Volk, he fought Moicano on like 6 minutes notice, and people are sitting there going, whoever trashes Islam is crazy, because it's like he's fought a 45er twice and a guy on short notice who used to fight at 45 who wasn't ready to fight him for the belt. So it's interesting, man. This is where, listen, if Dana says it's a surprise, it's hard to really go against Dana here. I
always say, I was going to say, if Dana is hyping it that much, I believe
crazy.
Yeah. I believe him. Right. And John Jones is supposed to be teasing something today that I guarantee you is not going to happen. So
probably something with like crypto or like who knows? Yeah,
that's what I said. That's what I said. Thank you, Ian.
Ian,
thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. A lot of fun. I'll do this for you guys whenever you guys want, man. A lot of fun.
Love it.
For sure. Thank you.